All right, so I haven't really just explored a plugin on this channel for a while, so I figured that's what we could do today. All right, so the plugin that I want to explore today is called the STL AmpHub. So it's made by STL Tones. So it's the STL Tones AmpHub plugin. And basically, this plugin allows you to emulate having different amps and microphones and pedals and different types of effects on your whatever you put it on. So, you know, the obvious application is to put this on like guitars or bass or, you know, any kind of DI signal would be a lot of fun. And, you know, I kind of think of it as anything that I might want to add some oomph and some grit and some power, you know, all the stuff that amps add to a signal. You can do it using this plugin. So this plugin emulates different pieces of gear, you know, like our pedals, like our amps. It also uses impulse response, so IR technology. So that's great for things like emulating acoustic spaces. We see that a lot with reverbs and stuff. In this case, I believe it's emulating the mic positions relative to the speaker cabinets for the amps. So it's emulating that acoustic space, so to speak, that setup, that kind of configuration. And it's a pretty cool plugin. I mean, the obvious usage for it would be to take your DI signal and add this plugin onto it to make it sound like you are able to record an amp in a studio, right? What I've been using it for a lot is parallel processing. So I will run something in parallel and make it sound like basically I was able to record multiple amps with the same signal. So that's been a lot of fun just to add more oomph and power, you know, like I was saying before. But I've really been enjoying using this plugin. I've been using it a lot lately. This is not a sponsored video, by the way. So I just figured I'd show it to you guys today a little bit, kind of explore it in a casual way. I'm going to be using this example. This is by an artist that's going to be coming out soon. So I don't have a lot of information here, but I did get permission to share this. I'm just going to hit play here for you guys at the beginning so you can hear some of the track. Anyway, I'm not going to play the whole thing, but that gives you an idea of what the track's all about, what it's like. What we're going to be focusing on here, what I figure we can focus on here is the bass. So we have this bass track. This was originally made using Serum in Ableton. I just have a wet export of the bass track here. So I'm just going to play that in solo. I'll play it with everything going on. I have like a few types of processing going on here in parallel, and I believe this section here is going out through most of these aux tracks here. So these are all aux tracks. So I'm just going to hit play. So that gives you an idea. There's so much reverb on the bass. Oh my gosh. So anyway, there's a lot going on with this. This is a work in progress for the record. So I am going to control this a lot more, clean it up a lot more. There's a lot that I'm going to end up doing, but this I think is a pretty fun example that we can use for to investigate this plugin. So I'm just going to mute pretty much everything except this one aux so we can kind of focus on what the actual plugin is doing and not all the other stuff that's going on. So I'm going to hit play on this so you can hear that, and I will bypass this on and off by holding Command and clicking to bypass. So when this is blue, it's bypassed, in case that's new for you guys, for anyone watching. So right off the bat, I want to tweak the settings on this. What I'm going to do actually is I'm going to hold Option and click and drag to duplicate this just for this YouTube video. And I'm going to mute this so I can come back to it and actually tweak it how I want it. I'm going to go a bit wild trying different settings here in this video. So I'm just going to do that to be safe. But that's the only reason why I'm doing it. And I'm guessing that there might be, yeah, reverb. So there's a lot of reverb and chorus here. I might want to like knock these out and turn them off for the actual final version of what I'm doing here, because a lot of times, you know, we don't need a ton of reverb on our bass, but it does depend a little bit, right? So sometimes it's not so bad. Sometimes it's fun to break the rules, you know? So right off the bat with this plugin, there is a tuner right here. So you can use this to tune your instrument. So you can use it during the actual production phase, during the actual recording phase. It's there if you want it. You might be working with something that you've already recorded using DI or something that someone sent you, you know, but it's there if you need it. And then what I kind of think of is left to right across this bottom section as like my main, I don't know, path to look at for this plugin. So the first thing I have here is I have a compression pedal. I can set this, I can adjust this, I can turn this on and off. Let me hit play here and just kind of mess with the parameters a little bit. So it's really taming the dynamics there. I think I might have adjusted this a good amount because I do like to control bass a lot. I like to put a lot of compression on bass. But let me mess with it a little more. You can actually hear like there's like some crackling when you turn the volume, which I don't know if they did that on purpose to make it sound more like a real pedal, but sometimes that happens when you get like little bits of dust in whatever the pot is, you know, for whatever the piece of gear is. And sometimes it sounds a little crackly. I wonder if that's because they wanted to emulate that, or if that's just kind of a side effect, but it sounds kind of similar to that like dust crackly effect, which is kind of interesting. You can make it control even more. I kind of like to really control my bass here. Anyway, I don't want to get too caught up in this one part of this plugin because there's so much going on here. But basically you can add pedals, right? So it's, in my mind, it's kind of like a plugin. I just said plugin a second ago about these, but basically you can add these pedals and it's just like as if you added them to your pedal board before going out to the amp, right? So you have these pedals here and there's a whole selection of them. You can dig into it. If you go to the STL Tones website, you can see what they have here. I'm not going to dig into it too much, but you can do a few pedals here and then you have your actual amp. So, and here you can choose what type of amp you have. So they have a bunch of different presets, a bunch of different types. You can kind of just cycle through the settings here and see what the differences are. And these are kind of just, you can see, you know, they're imitating certain types of amps that we have going on. So you can kind of just mess around with that. So let me hit play and I'll just kind of toggle through some of the amps here. Is that the exact one that I had already? Because I really liked that. And then anyway, once you pick the amp you want, you can actually change the settings here. You know, the settings are going to be a little different depending on what amp you pick, but you can mess with it, right? So if I want to crank the treble even more to make it a little more cutting, you know, I can do that. If I want to crank the bass a little more, I could do that. If I want to cut it down a little bit, it's just like working with an actual real in-person amp. So that's pretty cool. So I'm just going to hit play and mess with this one. I think this is the one that I picked before, but I'm just going to do it. I might actually like it more bassy right now. It's a thing, like, depending on my mood, I will change things sometimes, which is pretty bad, but you can really crank it. There, it did that like crackle again. It's like, I wonder if that's something. Anyway, I'm not going to dwell on that. It's like not quite like the sound that dust makes when it's in a pot, but I don't know why I don't know. Anyway, it's probably something about the actual processing of the effect, but you know, All right, so I'm not going to go over every single setting here, but once you have your amp how you like it, we get to the fun part for me as an engineer. I really like this part. You can pick what type of microphone you have placed on the amp. So, you know, some of these are very obviously emulating a certain type of microphone, right? You can guess based on the numbers and the type of microphone here. So dynamic ribbon, right? And I'm sure they can't say the specific kind because of, you know, copyright issues, but you can figure it out. Everyone knows what a 57 is, right? So you can pick whatever you want and it will affect the sound. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to toggle between these types of microphones. For example, when I pick the ribbons, you'll hear how it's picking up a lot less of that high frequency content because that's what ribbons do, right? And then the other thing that you can do is you can change, you know, the position of the microphone relative to the speaker cone. So you might want to move it farther out or farther in, depending on like how, you know, what kind of balance you want to have going on. And then you can also blend the two. So we have the two speaker cabs that it's emulating, right? And so you can have two different types of microphones on this amp, and then you can position them differently. You can affect whether or not the one is heavier in the mix than the other, which is, I believe, what this percentage knob is, right? And then you can change, you know, you can add low pass, high pass filters onto it. You can change the angle, which is a lot of fun. So instead of having it emulate the microphone pointing straight at the cab, I believe it's emulating, you know, rotating the microphone, putting it like slightly off axis. So you can do that, and you can kind of see how this little circle here, it's making it look like it's kind of off axis, like it's pointing at an angle. So that's something that you can do. And this is also great. This type of plugin is great for learning about microphone placement and speaker cabinets and stuff like this. So this is, I think it's a really great learning tool as well. You know, if you don't, especially if you don't have access to like a million different microphones and a million different amps and stuff, this is a great way to start learning about these tones and textures and how making different choices will affect the tones and textures. So I think that's really cool. Beyond just being able to get a fun sound for whatever you're working on, you can learn about engineering using this type of plugin. So I'm just gonna hit play again, and I hit spacebar and it did that. I'm just gonna hit play again, and we can mess around with this a little bit to listen, and then I'll move on to the next thing. Oops, it's overriding my spacebar. You can see how this is emulating different setup combos. So it's a lot of fun. Let me move around the placement for you to hear that. Oops, every time, man. So this is kind of cool, kind of fun. You can also emulate different distance from the actual speaker cab. So you'll see as I go up here, it's making it look bigger, probably because it's supposed to be farther away, right? So it's farther from the speaker cab. It would look bigger from my perspective, is I believe what it's showing you here. So let's listen. Oh my gosh. This spacebar thing, every time I try to hit play, it's overriding it here. So that's my one complaint so far. But a lot of times I will loop play back and I'm not stopping and starting to talk. So I haven't really run into this being a huge problem yet. And then we have a decibel boost or cut here, and we can flip the polarity. That's what the symbol is if you're not familiar. Flipping the polarity just flips it 180 on the axis. It's not shifting phase. A lot of people confuse that with phase. But you know, it's a good tool, especially if you're messing with the distances here. You might have to flip the polarity to get things to line up nicely and sound good. So there's that. So I just had to really quickly load up the plugin again. I just copied it over again. So all my settings are different. I hope that's okay. But the last thing I wanted to talk about on this page is the impulse response section. So it looks like what this is for loading up your own external impulse response files. So the next section here, you'll notice I clicked on FX here. So it allows us to add more pedals, right? So all the fun effect pedals. So we can add reverb, chorus, equalizers. You can load up a whole bunch of different pedals. It's the same idea as this first section of pedals, right? But, you know, it's just another point in the signal chain. So you can check out all the different models here if you want. I'm going to mess around with these a little bit so you can kind of hear what it's like, and I might switch between a few pedals. I don't know. I'm going to hit play though and see what happens. Let's see if I can hit return and spacebar and not have the plugin override it. Yeah, it works in this section. It's just this section apparently. But I'm going to hit return. I can make it crazy long. Sorry, I was trying to talk over myself. I can make it crazy long. Let's try it. Let's try a flanger. I don't know, man. Let me turn this off and then turn on the chorus. This one get really low. Sweet. Let's try. Oh, when I hit return, it turns this on and off. That's interesting. I haven't noticed that yet. So if you hit return or enter, it turns this on and off. So you have to click over here and hit spacebar after our return. Oh, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn this off and then I'm going to mess with this. So I can bring the low pass way down if I want. I keep hitting return and then turning this on and off. But this is just like an EQ, so I don't really need to go into a ton of detail on this, but it's here. Let me turn it on and off for you. So that's kind of fun. So that's the basic idea for this plugin. There are some other parameters like the MIDI section here and a few other things that you can dig into if you want. There's the routing, if you want to dig into that. If I was smart, I might make the bass mono here. I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to give you a general idea of this plugin and that it's out there and it's fun and you can get a lot of awesome sounds using it. So anyway, that's basically the plugin. These are kind of the two main sections that I've been focusing on, messing around with the most so far. and I've been having a lot of fun with it. So again, this is the STL Tones AmpHub plugin, and this is not a sponsored video. I just thought it'd be fun to explore it a little bit for the video today. Let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments below. As always, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'd appreciate all of that stuff. And I do have a Patreon, so it's patreon.com/CatoNoise. I've been really focusing on the Discord server that we have up there for Patreon patrons. We have a little book club that we've been doing every week. We've been reading different audio engineering and music production themed books. Right now we're reading Sylvia Massey's Recording Unhinged, and it's been a lot of fun. So if you want, feel free to check that out. I believe it's like $1 a month is the lowest value that you can do, and it gets you access to all this stuff. I have early release videos on there as well. Feel free to check that out. And other than that, I come out with new videos every Wednesday, and thank you so much for hanging out. Okay. Anyway, so you can add plugins here. You can click to choose whatever type of I'm sorry, that is not what it is. It is not a plugin, and it will affect the sound. So I'm going to I have an itch on my nose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to toggle between these types of microphones. So stupid. I don't know why I say these things sometimes. It's ridiculous. I don't know what's happening. My face is falling apart. My skin's falling apart. My hair is falling apart. I'm sleepy. I'm tired. I'm overworked. This is what grad school is doing to me. But it's so much fun and it's so exciting, and I've really been enjoying it. So I shouldn't complain, I guess. All right, I'm going to move on to the next thing.